Alright, welcome back to my Resident Evil 2 knife-only guided walkthrough. In the first episode we cleared out about half the police station, and in this one we will finish this area and we're going to have our first boss fight. Now about the bosses in this game, it's very different from my Silent Hill 3 knife-only walkthrough, where bosses took ages to take down with a knife. In fact, the final boss took almost 45 minutes. However, this game has very different damage scaling. Basically it has to, as the final boss has a 5-minute time limit. So you might think that it takes an absurd amount of hits to take a boss down with a knife, but it seems to be purposely scaled to do significantly more damage against bosses. So that means that in this game, boss fights are not in fact these grueling battles of endurance. However, they are to an extent a bit more tricky to figure out than the Silent Hill bosses, so to speak. But you will see that when we get to them. First we're going to meet Chief Irons, and right after that we have our first actual encounter with Cheri.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies.
Are you Chief Irons?
Yes, that's me. And just who are you? No, don't bother telling me. It makes no difference. You'll end up just like all the others. That's the mayor's daughter. I was told to look after her, but I failed miserably. Just look at her. She was a true beauty. Her skin nothing short of perfection. But it will soon putrefy and she will turn into a zombie within the hour like all the others.
Must be some way to stop it.
In a manner of speaking, there is. Either by putting a bullet through her brain, or by decapitating her completely. And to think that taxidermy used to be my hobby. But no longer. Please, I'd really like to be alone now.
Wait.
Let me go!
Easy, easy there. I'm not a zombie. You're safe now. Leon, come in. I found the girl, and I've cleared the wreckage that was blocking the corridor.
Got it.
My name's Claire. What's yours?
Cheri.
Do you know who parents are?
They both work at the Umbrella Chemical Plant, near the city limits.
The chemical plant? Then what are you doing here?
My mom called and told me to go to the police station because it was too dangerous to stay at home.
From the look of things, I'd say she was probably right. But it's dangerous here as well. You'd better come with me.
But there's something out there. I don't know what it is, but I saw it. Much larger than any of those zombies. And it's coming after me.
What was that?
That's what I was telling you about. It's here.
Cheri, wait!
Alright, we will see Cheri back later on in the area that we now can access using the hard key left behind by the chief. So first let's make some room in our inventory, and as you saw I picked up a first aid spray, and on our way to the next area we encounter a lot of herbs. So we can collect a lot of healing items, and just to emphasize again, healing items in this game are limited and cannot be farmed. So you have to take your health serious. And in case you care about what rank you get at the end, first aid sprays are off limits to begin with. as using those lowers your rank. However, I personally don't care about what rank I get. Okay, this area has 2 dogs guarding it, at least for now. Fortunately, dogs are relatively easy to avoid in this game. If you've seen any of my other walkthroughs, you know that I almost always hate dog enemies in video games. But these aren't so bad. And right before you go down the ladder, as long as you act fast enough, the dog that might jump down doesn't even get a chance to attack you. However, on the way back there are lickers in the first area instead of dogs. So those require a different approach. Now actually, other than the section with Cheri in order to get the key of clubs, there is nothing that you are required to get in this entire section. As you probably know, there are other rooms that you can enter into, including one where you can find a side pack and a machine gun. But as I will likely go through Leon's B scenario as well, I'm going to leave the side pack for him. And the machine gun is obviously off limits anyway. Okay, I'm going to skip Cheri's section, as it only involves moving boxes, taking damage has no lasting effects, and it's the same on any playthrough to begin with.
Cheri, I've been looking everywhere for you. I was so worried. We've got to go now, honey, okay? If we stay here, that monster will find us. Let's go.
No, I won't.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me?
It's not that, Claire. It's because of my daddy. He's over there. I heard him call my name. Daddy must have been attacked by the monsters. I have to help him.
Wait, Cheri, don't go alone! Cheri! Cheri!
Claire, are you there?
Cheri, are you okay? Did you find your dad?
Yes, I'm okay. But I couldn't find him. But I did find something else for you. Here.
Thanks, sweetie. Now, why don't you come over here? I want you to stay with me.
Claire, I can't reach the ventilation hole anymore. But don't worry, I'll find another way. I can take care of myself.
Wait, Cheri, come back! Cheri! Cheri!
Alright, now we have the final key for the police station part of the game. This key can unlock 3 doors, but we only need to access one of those rooms. So that means that this key cannot be discarded automatically, unless you specifically go out of your way to unlock those other 2 doors as well. Which you can quite easily do, by the way, you can buy them anyway. But since we need to avoid a licker in front of the first one, I just choose to simply place it in an item box later on. Now remember what I said in part 1 about lickers? If you stand still or approach them very slowly, they tend to slowly approach you as well. And right before they attack, they pause for a second. So that is your cue to run past them. Alright, let's speed things up a bit again, because we need to make some room in our inventory and we need to re-equip the lighter, because we're going to need that for the one room for which we needed the key of clubs. However, the entire upcoming section is rather tricky, as there are a lot of enemies to avoid, with little space to avoid them, and some really awkward camera angles. So unfortunately I do mess up quite a bit in the upcoming areas. This room is no big deal, as you can simply pass the zombie lying on the floor. As long as you don't get too close, he won't suddenly grab you. However, once you get outside, there is a small army of zombies that are extremely hard to avoid. So what I do is that I basically use the fact that you push a zombie away after he grabs you to knock the other zombies over. So in that way you essentially clear a path. And fortunately there's a green herb on the floor directly behind them. So that counteracts the hit that you just took. Alright, now there's a zombie directly in front of me, so this is one of those rare occasions where I stab the enemy until it falls down. Unfortunately, the camera angle makes it extremely hard to avoid the other zombies in this hallway. And my first problem was that I hesitated. So, as you would expect, even if you avoid one enemy, you just run straight into the arms of another one. There are two rooms we need to enter. First one here is the final diamond key door, where we find another stone. And once you grab it, a licker will jump through the window. But if you immediately run to the door, you don't have anything to worry about. Once you get back into the hallway, you get a terrible camera angle, and I just run straight into another zombie. Fortunately, there's a red herb on the ground, so if you have the chance to pick it up, make sure that you do. And then we get to the final room, and we need to use the lighter and then activate switches in the following order. Middle, right, left. And then grab a cork. A cork with a G, while trying to avoid a licker at the same time. You can avoid it by running around the desk and keeping it in between you and the enemy as cover, which I almost managed to successfully do, but I still took 2 hits unfortunately. Now, the weird thing is, and I said this back in part 1, damage calculation is rather inconsistent in this game. Because my life was yellow after 1 bite from a zombie, and now I've taken 2 hits from a licker, which is a much more powerful enemy, and my life is still green. In fact, in a minute I'm going to take a 3rd hit, and my life is still green after that. So I don't really understand how damage calculation is supposed to function in this game. It either has some really strange rules, or there are some really peculiar RNG factors at work. On your way back past the army of zombies, there's room now to avoid them on the left. However, I hesitated, but as you could see, that zombie started out on the right side, so if I hadn't hesitated, I would have avoided that hit. And for the room after that, stick against the desk. And then it's back to the safe room on the 2nd floor. There's one more item that we need, and that's the final stone, which is found on the 3rd floor on the left side of the police station. And we're going to need the crank for that, so make sure to get it from your item box. However, don't put your cock inside the box. It might be tempting to put your cock inside the box, but you're going to need it later on. There's a licker instead of zombies here now, but unfortunately, because of the distant camera and because the game is so dark, I honestly didn't even see it before it hit me. I do like it though that they surprise you by changing the enemies around after you've completed certain tasks. It does keep you on your toes, or maybe not enough in my case. Alright, there's another licker over here. So we're going to get past him the same way as before. Walk up to it until it begins moving towards you. And right before it's about to attack, it will pause for a second. And that's your cue to run past him. Okay, getting past the liquor again is a bit trickier this time, because you're behind it and it's blocking your path. Now it's going to move forward, so I'm slowly going to follow it, and this time your cue to run past it is when he turns around. Okay then, now it's definitely time to save the game, because we are now ready to leave the police station behind. We have all the stones, so that means that we are now about to have our second encounter with Chief Irons, and that means that there is a boss fight coming up. I'm going into the fight with only a single healing item, and that's not really advisable. However, do keep in mind that the final boss is one where you don't want to get stuck without healing items. So be aware that if you heal too much in the earlier boss fights, you might want to reload the game, even if you survive, because it is possible to completely run out of healing items in this game.
Claire!
Cheri, you're okay.
I'm glad to see you're safe, Claire. Claire!
I'm going down there. Stay here and wait for me, okay?
Ah! Help me! Ah! So you've made it this far. Not bad, girl. But I'm not letting anyone leave my town. Everyone's gonna die.
Calm down, Chief. What happened?
Shut up! You couldn't possibly understand what's happened. Those monsters from Umbrella have destroyed my beautiful town. How could they do that to me after everything I've done for them?
So it's true. You have been working with Umbrella. Then you must know about the G-Virus. What is it? Tell me!
If you must know, it's the agent that can turn humans into the ultimate bioweapons. Superior to the T-Virus in every way. Dr. William Birkin is the genius behind the project.
William Birkin.
I'm sure you've already seen his little girl running around here somewhere. Cheri, isn't it? In case you haven't already figured it out, the monster that's been tearing my precinct apart is yet another product of the G-Virus. An ultimate bioweapon. Umbrella must be trying to cover its tracks. But if I have to go, I'm going to take you with me. I just can't take the pain.
Alright then, the first boss fight. Now all boss fights in this game are easy in principle, but tough in execution. What I mean by that is that the bosses hardly have any moves to begin with, but they can require some very precise countermeasures, so to say. In essence, all this boss can do is swipe his arm sideways. That's it. It's not the boss himself that will give you trouble, it's those little bugs. The fight is almost over if you manage to immediately take out the bugs. But given the clunky movement and how small the targets are, if you miss any, they will crawl up upon you, and then this fight becomes a nightmare. Especially because you are stunned when they reach your head. Now, mashing the X button will get them off, and sometimes it's even better if the boss hits you, because that knocks them off as well. But in essence, this fight is a DPS fight, where you want to slice off the boss's arm to make him fall down, and then stab him enough times so that there are as few times as possible where he can vomit out some new bugs. Also, I guess if you hit the eye, it's hard to see exactly, acid will come out and that will cause damage to you and it will stun you as well. So, to summarize, first priority is to get rid of the bugs, cut off the boss's arm, then stab him, but not the eye, until he gets back up again. A few steps back will get you out of his reach when he swings his arm, but also keep in mind that taking an intentional hit will knock the bugs off when they are upon you. And running around while tapping X will also make the bugs drop down, but remember that he can constantly vomit out new bugs. This fight will take some practice, because the bugs are just really frustrating. You would expect that it would take a ridiculous amount of hits to take a boss out with a knife, but as I said before, the damage scaling is very strange in this game. Not at all like Silent Hill. The knife more or less becomes more powerful when using it against bosses than against regular enemies. Yeah, that was not the most clean fight possible, but there you go.
Claire, you came back!
I can't believe the man who developed the G-Virus is actually her father.
What's wrong, Claire?
It's nothing. But I think I found a way out of here. We should be able to find someplace safe if we can just make it out of town.
But...
Don't worry, I'll protect you. I promise. But you have to make sure you don't leave my side. Leon, are you still there? We're leaving.
Are you crazy? The streets are still crawling with zombies.
It'll be all right, trust me. We found a way to the sewer. Follow us later.
Claire! Claire! Wait!
Come on, let's get out of here.
Claire?
Alright, that takes care of the police station and the first boss fight. 2 more boss fights are coming up in the next episode, where we're going through the sewers and then down towards the laboratory. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you back in the next episode.